Joe Templin, we got the technology and the scheduling. We can do it, man, all the way from New York, upstate New York. The Human Kaizen expert. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
Wes, I'm doing really well. And, we've been able to make it through some of the technical difficulties. So now we're on to the fun.
Now, here we go. So, Kaizen. Most people don't know what the heck that is, man. So what is it?
I went to engineering school, so you have to forgive me for being a nerd. Literally, I went to Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and our mascot is the engineers. So, we're so scary. We're going to disintegrate you. And for people who get the math joke, they get it.
That's the mascot?
That is the mascot of where I went to school.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
If you're an engineer or a fan of hockey, you've probably never heard of it.
Well, it's like a Illini. What's an Illini?
Is that like multiple lions?
I don't know, but my buddy, his son plays tight end for them, so I follow them a little closely now. But but I do know. Is it Richard Deming?
Yes.
Out of the Crisis, right? Yep. He was the Chrysler guy, right? That went over to Japan and helped them.
Exactly. And so what happened after World War II, they were completely bombed out. They had no technology. Nobody would sell them new machines. They lost a lot of their qualified individuals and leaders. So they were starting from almost nothing. So what they did was adopt very much the martial arts mindset of, okay, things suck now, but we can make things better. It's very much like the Stockdale paradox of embracing the bitter truth, but never give up hope and do the little things to make it through. So they would make micro changes. Hey, how can we position this desk slightly higher so that it's not placing as much stress on somebody's back, and so they can work longer hours and have more productivity? How can we reduce waste here by redesigning the flow or the product? And what happens is when you make those micro improvements over and over and over again, very quickly you get to the point like Toyota was in the 70s and 80s, if you ever saw the movie Gung Ho, where they were so much better in terms of quality than the Americans, even though they started from being absolutely horrible dumpster fire type quality. And we've applied this to engineering. We've applied this to manufacturing. It's been applied to finance and software. But why are we not applying this to the most important asset in any organization, the human asset? And so we can improve continuously. I mean, you've got the jujitsu thing up on your wall there. I'm a martial artist also in Taekwondo. When I first started, just like when you first started, we knew absolutely nothing. And the next day we came back and we knew a tiny little bit. And the next day we came back and we were a tiny little bit better. But those tiny little bits compound over the years and decades, and eventually you can be pretty good. When you apply that to processes in an organization, when you apply that to your sales processes, when you apply it to yourself, because ultimately sales is a transfer of belief. And if you understand yourself, if you have a very strong belief system, whether it's around your product, your process, your person, then you become incredibly powerful. And that's how you unlock your potential as an individual, as a leader, as a salesperson.
Yeah, but I'm under the gun. I gotta make my sale. This is the last month of the quarter. So to hell with this constant improvement. I need 10x growth, man, right now.
Okay. So the way that you get that is you become 10x better. And how do you do that? By doing all the little things differently, whether it's the time that you get up, whether it is how often you practice your language. That's the big thing with young salespeople is we hire very often all of these people from athletic backgrounds, and then we don't take that athletic mindset and continue to apply it. You're going to practice before game time. And so it is doing all these little things.
You didn't hear me, man. This is September 9th. I got a 10X by September 30th or I'm going to get laid off because
So here's where
I haven't
your
heard you
investment
till
is
now.
going to be, Wes. Okay, here's the best investment for you. Go buy a whole ton of lottery tickets. because that's the only way you're going to do it, dude. All right? Winging a prayer. So instead of depending on an external thing like somebody deciding to buy your stuff, we need to put the locus of control back inside and make it so that you are the best you can be and that your offer is the best that can be so that it's easier for people to accept it. So you need to understand your product inside out, backwards and forward. You need to get in front of the right people. You need to do everything you possibly can to understand their needs and build relationships. And then you have to make it easy for them to purchase. But all of that, that's going to take work. And the biggest amount of work is actually on you, not external. So do the work inside so that the outside can work properly.
No, man, I'm great. Okay. It's marketing's fault. And operations are always behind. The roadmap keeps getting pushed. I can't sell.
Yep.
Did you see the
It's the
competition? I
guy
can't
in the
sell at this
White
price
House.
without these widgets.
It's, the idiots in marketing. Oh, you know what? It's the
Yeah.
engineers.
Oh, you know them. You've met, huh? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I throw the BS flag. I'm not going to offend your listeners when I say,
Maybe, but it's just the weak ones.
okay, well, you know what? Get stronger, as my kids would say. Or as my mom, the nun, used to say, suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah. But I mean, how do we balance that, right? I mean, I worked in tech for many, many years, and I sell tech still. And, these private companies, they get outside money, so they're under the gun. Public companies, of course, they're under the gun. I mean, they're always just quarterly driven. And it's like, hey, man, I'm working on things that are going to make me better, 3 years from now. This will pay huge dividends in 5 years.
But
It'll
here's the
pay
thing.
dividends in a
There's
year, but
low-hanging fruit that you
not
can
right
do to be
now.
better tomorrow, Wes. So yes, we're doing a lot of these things that 10 years from now are going to be incredible. 5 years from now, awesome. 1 year from now, great. But what can I do today to be the best version of me? What can I do to make a tiny improvement? Because if I can get 1% better per week, then at the end of the year, I'm about 75% better. At the end of 2 years, I'm 3x. So instead, everyone's like, oh, if you can get 1% better per day, you're going to be 37 times better. You're not going to get 1% better per day. Okay? Where's the low-hanging fruit, but also where's something a little bit harder that's a little bit longer cycle that's going to pay dividends next quarter? And that is having this multiplicity of views, because everybody's focused, especially in sales. What am I doing today? What I need to hit this number today. I need to make this sale. But what do I need to do today? But what do I need to do to make sure next week is set? What do I need to do to make sure next month's set, and next quarter and next year? And being able to look over all these different views simultaneously and say, okay, this is going to make this sale today, but it's going to burn this relationship and cost us 20 times that over the next 4 years. Well, I'm not going to make that sale today because it's not right. I'm going to tell the client that's not right. And I'm going to earn their respect and potentially even more introductions. And we're going to make sure that next quarter, next year, we get the 5-time sale off of it. And the other thing is they become too dependent on any one thing. I need this particular sale. No, you need to get a sale. So if you've got 20 irons in the fire, one of them is going to be ready. One of the things that we were taught from the Bible was, you as you sow, you shall reap. And some of the seed falls on bad ground and some of the seed falls, gets eaten by the birds and all this. If you're throwing enough seeds out there. So for example, last week, I made 1,500 reach outs, not cold calls, not coldly emailing or anything like that. These are all warm to hot relationships. 1,500. Guess what I did the week before?
Made 1,500?
Yeah. Guess what I did the week before?
So what do you consider a reach out? Because 1,500 is a lot. I mean, that's 500, 300 a day. What's that?
It is. So that is an email to somebody who I've got their email address and we've had some sort of interaction, whether they attended a seminar that I did or, they are a member of an association where I've presented a couple of times, so my name's known. It could be one of my LinkedIn connections. It could be one of my former coaching clients. And I've coached a lot of offices. So not only do I have the head of the office, I've got a bunch of the people underneath. It could be connections that I've made in other ways. So it is the
How are
truth.
you? How much of that is automation?
No, that was
You
all
know,
individual. So I did not automate. So these were all individual. I cut and pasted stuff and, tailored it slightly. So it's probably taking 15 to 20 seconds per. Yes, I could probably automate it to make it more efficient, but I would lose something in terms of the flow through and the connection. And again, it comes back to that. They're buying Joe. They're not buying some random thing. They're not buying the book or other things like that. They're doing it because they have interacted with me and they see value from that at this point.
yeah. So how long does that take you
90 minutes a day,
to do 300?
maybe 2 hours.
Okay.
Here's the
And
thing.
what?
I don't watch the clock. As one of my good buddies who's Dutch Royal Marine says, you just go, the job's done. I grew up on a farm. So, the hay's out. You got to get the hay in before the rain. So it doesn't matter what time it is. You just do the job.
Yeah. What if you get a response in the middle of that? You're on your 20th outreach and the second one replies to you. Will you stop and reply, or do you get through the outreach, then go back?
Well, I can't do all the outreaches at one point because it just becomes overwhelming. You end up wanting to gnaw your own arm off very often. And I'm ADHD, if you haven't noticed. So I chunk my things. So I'll do either, 50 that I'm going to do in a particular block of time, or sometimes I say, all right, I've got 25 minutes before my next task, my next meeting or whatever. So I'm just going to go straight through that time. And I have certain blocks blocked out to respond to individuals because that allows me to have greater productivity. And it also means that if I'm working with one particular individual or client at that point, they get my full attention. So I'm not distracted by the phone going off or the dinging email. They get the best of me. And that's part of our obligation to the people that we work with, is that they get the best of us. And by the reciprocal nature of human beings, hopefully we're getting close to that from them.
So on this outreach, are you making any outbound calls, or is this all digital, like LinkedIn messages, text, email?
That is all my digital. My actual calling, I hate the phone, by the way, so much that I did not have a phone in my apartment until my ex-wife made me get one. I literally would get the shakes. And when I was a financial advisor, I was a 95+% phoner. I was among the best. I still hate it. And so, but if I'm doing dialing outward, I use two different lines. I'll dial on one, give them the other line as the number to call back on, and I'll just do units of 5 or 10 calls. And my line is on do not disturb. So if somebody calls me back during that 10 minutes that I'm doing it, then I will call them back. But I'm not going to pick up the phone and disrupt the process, because I have found that for me, at least, I need to rely on the process so that I don't go out and go off the reservation.
So you are making calls now?
Yes.
Or no?
I still make calls.
Okay.
I make about 25 to 30 calls a week to supplement the digital stuff because of the efficiency.
Do you still hate making calls? You just plow through it anyway?
Absolutely. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Are these cold calls, or are you calling
These are
contacts?
all warm leads. These are all referred leads, where I've gotten the individual's name, phone number. Yeah, I still hate it.
But you still do it.
I still do it. Exactly. And as Mike Tyson
Right.
said, being a professional is doing something that you hate as if you love it.
I mean, have you had bad experiences? Like, why do you hate it?
I don't know. Maybe because I got rejected by the pretty girl in high school.
Oh, man.
I mean, nobody
Interesting.
ever threatened me over the phone that could actually do anything with it. Nobody's like called my supervisor or like shown up at my work or written a nasty letter or taken out a billboard saying that Joe Templin is a horrible human being or anything like that. So this is just, some unnatural trauma that I still have, but I deal with it.
Do you make cold calls?
I have in the
are you
past.
just making follow-up calls? Like,
I'll
yeah,
make
did
follow-up
you hear me?
calls.
So,
I do not like making cold
okay,
calls. I never have, just because of the efficiency of them. An introduction or referred lead is roughly 100 times as effective as a cold call where you're
yes,
just getting a name and number. But if you learn
okay,
how to cold call, you build a good level of callus. And so if you can cold call and layer on the psychology of referred lead selling, then you can be more effective. And better yet is you do a good job for somebody. You learn how to ask for a proper introduction. I actually wrote a book.
yeah. So I'm just trying to understand like your cadence and your process and but I mean if you're the Kaizen, the human Kaizen expert, like why not perfect what you don't like? Why not? Are you a believer, like turn your weakness into your strength, or do you double down on your strength and outsource your weakness?
Um, One, because I've always risen to challenge. So if somebody tells me I can't do something, that's the best way to get me to run through that particular wall. And being very Irish, I've got a very thick skull. So sometimes I'm just going to get super stubborn. And as a farm boy, I'm not afraid to work. So you have those combinations. But if I find an efficient process, I will do everything possible to make it more efficient. So back in the old days when I was a financial advisor, back when dinosaurs walked the earth, as my kids like to say, literally I could make 3 phone calls in a day and get my book completely filled. And I kept 5.5 appointments per day for 10 years. So I was running at about 3 times the normal activity level. And I did not work nights. I did not work weekends. I was incredibly efficient. So one of the things about the startup world is that it's been described as technology or business looking for processes and revenue models. And what happens is over time, you get more and more efficient with it. And I'm with this current stage, we're in the early stages of it. And so it's a lot of discovery process. So if I can find more efficient mechanisms to get to the fun part of being able to sit down with clients or sell books or get on stage and speak, I'm all for it. So this is probably where you're going to be like, hey, Joe, I got a couple of ideas. And that's part of the reason why we're talking, because symbiotic relationships are the best in businesses, in friendships, in all areas where we can give as much as we can get and we all get better together.
So what would you say to a sales manager, small business owner who needs his people to make calls, but they're struggling? Because people have always struggled with making outbound calls. And I think like this younger generation is especially bad.
They're worse
They
than
don't know
ever
how to
because
communicate.
they also have been raised where they're not used to rejection. They've all got, the dating app and it's just swipe, 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 where they never got their teeth kicked in or rejected by the girl or the guy or, been cut from the team or everybody gets passing grades and everybody gets, the trophy. So they need to learn to lose and to hate losing so that they are willing to do the stuff to win. But one of the big things is gamification. The Zoomer generation has grown up in a world where everything is about getting patches and stars and awards for things. And so this is one of the things that I always did in financial planning was having a phoning board, and all the young guys and girls in the office would put up their numbers as they were dialing. I would go out and put my numbers, and the senior people in the office would do it too. So they would see not just that, hey, it's a game, you make X number of dials, you'll get Y number of appointments, and assigning values to that so that they could win the particular game over the day, week, month, even if they weren't to the point of making sales. They were winning the sales activity game leading forward to it. But also creating that culture where we're all doing, because very often the sales manager is there like, you do this, blah, 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 versus, hey, you guys do this. But look, I'm doing a portion of what you guys are doing too, in addition to my other responsibilities. I'm still in the trenches with you. I'm still doing the same things that you're doing. And so if gets them a little bit more buy-in to listening to the manager, because it's not like, oh, you did that 40 years ago. It's a different world. No, I'm still making dials every single day, just like you. Here's what's working. Here's, some of the things I've learned. So it's humanizing it in some ways. It's gamifying it in some ways. And the other thing is that there needs to be accountability. If you've given them the coaching and you've set the expectation of this is what you're supposed to do, hey man, you were supposed to make 20 dials yesterday. You didn't. What's up? How can I help you do it? Okay, you didn't do it yesterday. You need to do it today, or else you're going to go on yellow alert.
Well, and that's each of those steps is the problem. I mean, most sales managers, I've always said most salespeople have not had sales training. They get product training from their companies, and they call that sales training. And so by hook or by crook, some salespeople make their numbers. They plow through it. They're motivated. They're aggressive, whatever. They're lucky. And now they've become the sales manager. So they've never had sales training, and now they've never had sales management training. And now they're a sales manager, and they just beat their people over the head. And they really haven't codified that. Well, yeah, they haven't codified what they do. They're good. They're natural. Like I said, maybe they got lucky, good territory, whatever, good timing. And they can't go, and now they're embarrassed. They don't want to go do the thing. Like, that's why I love jujitsu, because it's hands-on from day one. And we fight our instructor. He's every single day he's rolling and beating everybody's ass, despite being 59 years old. And, I have 70 pounds on the guy. It took me 5 years to pass his guard one time. And I'm 5 years younger and 70 pounds heavier.
My Taekwondo
so he is still in the game.
Is this tall on me. And even at 77 years old, I do not want to get in the ring with him.
Yeah.
So it's continuing to have that hands-on experience. But what you also said is the sales managers haven't applied the science. They haven't learned to understand what works and what doesn't. And so if they just threw spaghetti on the wall and got lucky, what are they doing with their salespeople? They're teaching their salespeople to just throw spaghetti on the wall, and sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't, as opposed to, here's a good process that tends to work. Here's the way to be able to build trust, because remember, people are going to tend to do business with people that they like, respect, and trust. So what are you doing about building your respect? What are you doing to understand your clients' needs and their pain points? How can you make their life easier or better? How can I put money into their pocket? Because if we can do that, or how do I make them look good to their boss? How do I prevent them from getting sold? How do I help them get market share? How do I help reduce cost? How do I make their life better? That is what the salesperson needs to be asking themselves, and the sales manager needs to be teaching their individuals is, how do I make you as a salesperson the best version of yourself and give you the tools, training, and accountability to go on out there and do that?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, most just won't take on the risk. They're embarrassed. You see it in martial arts. I mean, like a higher belt will avoid a lower belt that's bigger, more aggressive. And it's like, you're not meant to beat everyone forever. I mean, I'm a brown belt. One of our neighbors, grew up with us, and he's 30 years old, and he's just got his purple belt. I mean, he's 24 years younger, probably 10 pounds heavier, but he's just a beast. A successful role for me with him is if I don't tap. I mean, 8 times out of 10, he taps me at least once. And I'm like, okay, fine.
And so your definition of victory is different.
Yeah. But you got to be willing to redefine success.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things as a martial arts instructor, I won all sorts of championships back in the day and everything, but as a higher level black belt, my responsibility is to teach and grow them. I don't need to get in there and bang and clang with them. I can, and I'm not going to last more than 30 seconds, meaning I have to take them out quick. But as an instructor, my responsibility is to bring the best out of them, to teach them better techniques, to have them have a better understanding of the fighting process, of how their bodies work, of how to teach even the white belts and the green belts. So the shift in focus of the martial artist is similar to the shift in focus of that sales manager. The sales manager is no longer supposed to be the one out there closing the huge deals. They're the one who's supposed to build the process and the environment and give the coaching and support so that the next generation can be out there closing the deals. And that was one of the reasons why I was drawn into management within the financial services realm long ago, is because as a financial advisor, I could go out and sell 50 new clients a year. Okay, I could help 50 families. As a sales manager, I could help 8 to 10 individuals go out there and maybe impact 40 people, because maybe they're not as good as me, but a lot of them are better. But 8 times 40 is 320, which means more impact. And as an author, if I can reach 1,000 people and even just have a slight impact on them, so they're reaching 2 or 3 more people per year, that's 2 or 3,000 more people. So as you climb the ladder a little bit within sales, or in terms of however you're doing your influence, because everything is sales. Sales is a transfer of belief, whether it's buy my product or buy into my idea that's going to help you out. Then the more you can transfer that belief system to others, the more success that's going to happen. And so you wanted to go back to selling 10x what you are now, back at the very start of our conversation here. You need to believe more. You need to believe more in yourself, your product, and that you can help that client achieve their goals. Not that you can sell them, that you can help them. And if you have that attitude of, I am here to serve you, I'm here to make your life better, I am here to help you reach your goals, I'm here to make you look good for your bosses, I am here to be the most important secret weapon you have in terms of your success, Mr. Client. That's how you're going to test.
How do I reach them? I do believe it. I believe. Amen. Hallelujah. Nobody answers their damn phone. All my emails get ignored.
Find another way. One of the best ways that I found to reach potential clients, I teach this to young salespeople, get introduced to a potential client, but have that introduction go via mutual introduction text. So, hey, Wes, this is my buddy Joe. You should meet him. He can help you out with these sorts of things. Joe, this is my buddy so-and-so. You guys got to meet because I think that you guys share a similar belief system and you guys have the potential to do some good stuff. By the way, he's also a Yankees fan. Okay? That mutual introduction text, I've seen over the past 2 years, it's got about 75% probability of leading to a meeting. I have 2 meetings later today where individuals set up meetings that way. One I set up, one somebody set up with me.
What if somebody's new, they don't really have a good network yet? If I'm selling to the C-level, I may not have connections to
go hang out with C-level people. Go find people who are 2 or 3 degrees removed from C-level and get introduced to the person who can get you 1 level removed, and then get introduced to the C-level. Get seen. Social media is a big thing with TikTok or YouTube or Rumble or all these other things. We can be able to have one-to-many projection. So create a YouTube channel. Write for your local newspaper. Write for the trade publication like this that gets you in front of the people that you want to be in. Find somebody who knows somebody. LinkedIn can give you great research because you can literally map out the connections to get anywhere that you want. It's not 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's literally 2 to 3 degrees of getting in front of the person that you want. Your alumni association. You went to USAF. I went to RPI. I'm literally 2 degrees away from some of the biggest technologists on the planet.
Will people introduce you if they don't really know you? Or do you get to know them first and then
sit down and build that relationship? Because if you read The Trusted Advisor by Maester Green and Galfunga, which is a great book, and we've Modify it.
What is it?
You
The
need
trusted advisor?
the trusted advisor. Yes. It's got something in there called the trust factor, and Dr. Stolk and I enhanced it with another factor. But you need to build that intimate relationship, which means that you need to invest time, which means you need to sit down and breaking bread essentially, having a cup of coffee with somebody and saying, hey, tell me about what you're doing at work. Tell me, what's keeping you up at night. Tell me where you see some of the problems are. Tell me, what I can do to help you reach your goals. And it doesn't matter if you're selling a product, you're selling a process or a coaching service or anything like that, or you're just sitting down with somebody that you want to build a relationship with. If you can help them out. So, for example, I have multiple kids in my family who have special needs. I'm former president of the Autism Society. And so in my space, there is a ton of stuff that I can do in terms of mental training, in terms of techniques, in terms of contacts, in terms of resources to help other people in that space to make it so that they're not pulling their hair out at night, to make sure that they can sleep better, to make sure that they're not going crazy with their kid. If you can help somebody in that capacity, guess what? You're the hero. And people want to see their heroes win. So, for example, if you can build a database of good restaurants that are sensory friendly, of individuals who are service providers, in terms of if you can find somebody a good babysitter, I don't care what field you work in, if you can find some good babysitters in particular areas for clients, you can be a hero. If you can make somebody else's life easier and better, they're going to want to see you win. In the Go Givers Club, I believe it is, one of the rules is that if you want to make a lot of money, create value for other people, make their lives easier, give. The more you give, the more you will receive. It's economic altruism, man. The more you can give, the more you can help other people out, it will come back to you in some way, in some capacity, at some might not be what you're looking for is what comes back, but do good for others and you will do well. Period. Case closed.
Yeah.
And that, if I had to, say this is the essence of my sales success, this is the essence of my success as a speaker or a writer, it's that thing. Give. Help other people out. My mom, the nun, used to say, if you're having a bad day, go help somebody out. So just keep helping, do the right thing. And you know what? It will come back at some point in some.
Yeah. Amen. So you've got a book. I'm pulling up the link here. You want to just send them to Amazon?
I got a
I'll link
couple
to
of
that in
books.
the show notes. Yeah. Is this yours, the Everyday Excellence, right?
That is. I got a copy of that right there.
There
So
you
that's really
go.
the
And
Human
what's the other?
Kaizen type book because it's all about doing little things better, like about getting 1% better every single day in some way. So one day you might make slightly better choices in terms of your food. Okay. I love donuts. So, eating less donuts. Another day it might be in terms of your relationships. Another day it might be in terms of your mental health. Another day it might be in terms of your communication at work. But if you can, like we were talking in the beginning, you want to get that 10x, what you do is, there might be some big things that you go after, but if you grab that low-hanging fruit here and here and here and here, and you have a plan overall of, okay, these are the sort of things I'm going to do that are a little bit longer cycle, a little bit harder, but have a little bit more reward, then the combination of doing the little things every single day and having to focus on some of the longer term, bigger things, between the two of them, you're going to get in this positive upward cycle. And a year from now, you won't even recognize yourself because you'll be in such a better place physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
How do you stay with it though? I mean, you hit a plateau or, you're getting in shape, right? And it's like, okay, you're not losing weight, but you are getting stronger. And logically what muscle weighs more, but it's a grind and you're sore and man, my friends are having a fantasy football party and it's going to be beer and tacos and how do I say no? How do you stay the course? Like jujitsu, so many people quit.
Yep.
It's hard.
And part of the reason is because they're too hard on themselves. As the former gifted kid, I had to learn that you can't be perfect all the time. If you eat healthy 9 days out of 10. And 1 day out of 10, you have tacos and beer. As long as you're not having like 50 tacos and a case of beer, you're still making progress. You're doing okay. And so that day afterwards, you just get back at it and you have another week or 2 weeks of being really, really good. Unless you're training for like a tournament or something, then you have 2 months worth of being totally focused on that. If you're hitting your sales activities 9 days in a row and on the 10th day you miss your sales activity, you could like completely castrate yourself. Or you can say, you know what? I did it 9 days in a row and I did a little bit extra every single day. So over that 10-day period, I still did what I was supposed to do. It's just, I was a little, I didn't quite live up to my standard that day. So the next day, I'm going to make sure that I get back on it. You can have the cookie, just don't have the cookie every single day. And as Matthew McConaughey said in his book, Green Lights, earn your Saturday nights. So do the hard work. You know what? Do your dials every single day. Do what you're supposed to do all week long. And then Friday evening, after you have your workout, go ahead and have that beer with your buddies. Have one, have two, you earned it, and it's not going to destroy you. As long as you're not an alcoholic or anything like that, over that week-long time period, you did everything you were supposed to do. And so you get a little bit of a reward. As long as that reward's not setting you back multiple days, it's good.
Yeah. So I just pulled up your other book, Becoming an Introduction Machine, How to Build an Introduction-Based Business in Under 90 Days. So is that brand new?
Yep, that came out now a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it says August 9th. Yeah, very cool. And
so that talks
how to
a lot
build an
about that concept of doing the right things for others and you'll do well, but also put some processes around it so that you can do it right every single time, because we both completely buy into SOPs. If you can have SOPs internal to your sales approaches, then you'll be more successful. And that's one of the big things about salespeople is that for the most part, they are winging it every single time. They're going by feel as opposed to by process and procedure.
Cool. All right. So final question. What's the RR? Are you like J.R.R. Tolkien?
Well, actually, I do have the same initials, and my company is called JRRT One Ring because of that. But no, I'm not like Tolkien or Martin, even though I am a writer. It's Royal was my godfather's name, and Ribley is my mom's maiden name, and every one of my brothers and sisters carry it. So family tradition, very Irish, take mom's name. And so JRRT. So I am destined to be successful as a writer, but I still remain humble.
Hey, it's the only way to do it, huh? That's cool. All right. Well, I'm linking to both of those and link to your company as well. So very cool, man. I'm glad this worked out. Got our schedules. I got to call my tech company, say, what the hell? How did I get double booked? But it's worked out, man. Thanks for carving out some time.
How can I help you and your listeners? That's the important thing, because the more we give,
I think you did.
Ultimately, the more we get. So what can I do for your people?
Yeah. Well, I always tell folks, as they're listening to this, take some kind of action, right? Click the links. If the books, if you're a reader, if you're Audible, get the books. I'll link to your LinkedIn as well. You seem approachable, right? So I tell folks, whatever works. Reach out to LinkedIn, read the books, do something, take some act. Don't just listen to this and go, yeah, good ideas, and go back to Instagram. Listen to this, take some notes, commit to doing more, whatever that looks like. And if you need to hire a coach, you need to hire accountability. I tell people all the time, because you'll get the naysayers like, oh, you're a sales coach, whatever. I don't need a sales coach. It's like, nobody really needs a fitness coach. We all know how to do push-ups and sit-ups. But if you know that you struggle with accountability, then, like Jesus, right? He didn't send us out alone, right? He sent them out in pairs. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So if you need to pay somebody to, check in on you every day, hey, email me every day. What were your numbers? What were your activities? What were your struggles? How can I help? Okay, then that's worth it. If you're disciplined enough to do it on your own, knock yourself out. But invest in yourself, which means you may need to get some help.
Hey,
So,
Wes,
I
how
just
about
tell
this
folks,
for your
take,
listeners? How about this for your listeners to help them out? Anybody that reaches out to me and connects to me on LinkedIn, I will give them a free week worth of daily emails, no questions asked. I'll just send them to them in one lump sum so that they have it to help themselves grow and develop because you've helped me get my message out there to more people. I want to help them. Any of your people who do that, I'll give them a free month worth, actually, entire month to help them out. Bang, boom, improve because of how you've helped me. This is what we do. We give to others. I'm giving to your people because you've given to me.
and so is that like is it a course or is it just tips or what?
It's a daily email training, so it's similar to the book. It's much shorter. Every single day, people get an idea, whether it's, hey, here's why apples are good for you, or here's something that I read in a book that I found interesting and might be able to help you out. And so I'll give people an entire month's worth of that for free. All they got to do is say that, they listen to this podcast, and I will help them because you have helped.
Nice. All right. There you go, folks. Reach out. Well, Joe Templin, thanks for coming on, man. It's great catching up with you.
Thanks, Wes. Be excellent and be better today.
Amen. Have a great day.